Welcome to my LinkedIn Spotlight series, where I sit down with successful legal professionals to uncover the lessons, strategies, and wisdom that shape their careers. I'm Joel Chorney, and my goal is simple: to shine a light on colleagues doing exceptional work while bringing you insights you can apply to your own practice. In this episode, I'm featuring Lauren Molliver, a business litigator with over 40 years of experience. What makes Lauren's story fascinating? Well, he went against conventional wisdom, downsizing from a 14 attorney firm to solo practice, and found more fulfillment than ever. You'll hear how a mentor shaped his entire approach to law, why he built his practice on trust instead of internet leads, and the surprisingly simple systems that transformed his business. Let's dive in. Let's start at the beginning, Lauren. What first drew you to the area of practice that you currently work in, business law?
What drew me to that was when I first realized I was going to practice law, which was only after I finished law school. I decided that I wanted to do trial work as opposed to doing other than trial work. But I didn't intend to practice when I had decided to go to law school. I previously was in television production. I had worked for CBS Sports, and my goal was to get into network management in television. But after I graduated from law school, I actually got an offer at CBS in LA, and the amount of money that they offered to pay me was so low as a production scheduler that I decided, having just finished 3 years of law practice, I would try the practice of law. So
Yeah,
I did that 43 years ago. Been practicing ever since.
haven't looked back.
I love what I do. So,
Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. And how did it end up? How did you end up settling on doing business law litigation versus? I'm a criminal guy, so for me, we're worlds not at all what I'm into. Maybe my world seems nothing like what you're into. But I'm curious, what makes you love what you do?
yeah, I never had any interest in criminal law. I actually started off with a small firm doing about post divorce decree work and half personal injury work, only because that's what my boss did.
Sure.
And so I did that for about 3 years. And then I decided, I was actually asked by a friend of mine who was with another firm in town to join them because I had been fortunate to get a substantial amount of trial experience in my first couple of years of practice. So he asked me to join them, and I thought I liked the idea of business related work because it was more than just one-off clients in the personal injury and even in the family law case, family law arena for the most part. And so I like the idea of being able to develop relationships with decision makers. And it was just an area that was of more interest to me.
I find that every attorney has at least one case or client that really sticks with them. Is there a particular case or client, whether it was a win, a loss, or just a turning point that had a lasting impact on how you practice law today?
No one that has an impact on how I practice because there's not one that would have changed the way I practice. I practice now the way my first mentor, an attorney by the name of Len Mark, taught me. I was fortunate that Len had me shadow him for the first 6 months of my practice, and billing was not an issue. I just followed him around, and he would say, "This is how I talk to a client on the phone. This is how I'm going to talk to this judge on the phone," or "Come with me to this hearing and just watch what I do." And then after 6 months, he said, "Here, you're going to go try this PI case." Uh, So I, to this day, practice the way he taught me, and nothing really has changed in terms of how I approach the practice or the cases. In terms of cases that stand out, one that comes to mind only because I was doing some legal research the other evening and came across one of my cases, which is rare. And it was a case that I won summary judgment for a business defense client, where one of the things that we had done in that case is to actually file a lawsuit against the other lawyer. My client sued my opposing counsel
Wow.
through me, and the opposing counsel threatened to sue me. So that was something one easily forgets. But we won, and of course, I never got sued, although there were at least two, if not three, specific letters saying, not only we're going to sue you, this is not just a threat, we're really going to sue you, but they never did. So that's one that stands out. In terms of other kind of war stories, most business law is not particularly exciting. It's obviously important to my clients, which makes it important to me, but we're dealing with people who are either greedy or overly aggressive, people who do things wrong in the business world, which keeps me in business because then I get to help my clients get out of a mess when somebody's not treating them fairly.
Running your own practice isn't just about law, it's about leadership, business, and resilience. Looking back on your time leading your own firm, what's the most important lesson you've learned as an owner that you didn't expect going in?
That's a good question. Oh, this is an answer specifically to that. I can tell you that I was a partner in a firm of, I think we had 14 lawyers in 2008 when I left with one of the lawyers who worked for me, and the two of us became partners in a much smaller firm that we had 1.5 lawyers and kind of went back down to just the two of us. And then during COVID, I left and started practicing on my own. When I started practicing with my former partner in 2009, by the time I actually started that office, best lesson that I learned was, I don't think it's an unusual thing, maybe it is, but I started billing my clients every 2 weeks instead of once a month. And I did that because it helped me with cash flow. And, my clients, because instead of getting a large bill at the end of a month, they got two smaller bills. Not one client's ever complained. A few clients have said they like it better. And it's been one of the best decisions from a business perspective I ever made. In terms of operating my own firm, when I was a partner with my ex-partner and with partners before, well, it's just a matter of trying to respect what everybody's strengths and weaknesses are, and to make sure you take care of your employees uh, in a way that speaks to them, which oftentimes is money, but oftentimes isn't money. So right now, for example, I try very hard to treat my one employee, who is my office manager slash paralegal, very well. I surprise her with monetary bonuses on a regular basis or irregular basis, so that they're not something that is part of her expectations. And I think that helps because then it's kind of a surprise when she gets them. But I would say I do it at least a half a dozen times a year.
If you could sit down with your younger self or a new lawyer who's just starting out in your area of practice, what's one piece of practical advice you would give them to make their journey smoother?
Love it or don't do it.
Ah,
Act with integrity all the time. And then you don't have to have a lot of extra issues you're dealing with. You can focus on what it is that you do.
what
What's your
makes you
favorite
love
part
what you
of
do?
Performing in front of the judge or jury, trying to persuade them that my position is the best position. I've been marketing all my life. In fact, when I first went to work for him, I was a little bit cocky perhaps. And I said, I've been involved in the community from high school through college and law school. And I know a lot of people in town, fortunately for me, because it's been a great experience. And I think I can bring in lots of business. And he said, no, you can. And he said, the people that I was at the time 27, I guess. He said, people don't need lawyers, and their parents that will think of you as their child's buddy, not somebody who's going to be their lawyer. And he was dead right. He said, you just have to go out and market. And I grew up watching Perry Mason. The phone would ring at the end of every show. That would be his next client. The idea of going out and finding work was foreign to me. But I started networking immediately, and I've been networking ever since, including to this day. And it's paid off. I've never been busier and never been happier in my practice.
You just struck a chord, because when I started my practice 3 years ago, I naively thought all I had to do was put on a website and I'd show up on Google and the phone would start ringing. And as you well know, that's not at all how that works.
Well, interestingly enough, I've never wanted clients to find me on the internet.
All right.
I want clients who have been referred to me by somebody they can trust, because it helps immediately build a rapport. They can expect, something that's helpful and somebody who's honest. I find that when clients do find me on the web, which is rare, um, they're looking to nickel and dime a lawyer, or they, at the risk of generalizing, they're not generally the best clients, in my experience.
Yeah.
Most sophisticated business people are going to ask their circle of influence for referrals. And that's the way I like to get my work. And in all of my work comes from former or existing clients or lawyers.
Well, that's a huge piece of advice right there. You have to really know your practice area and the kind of client that you're trying to attract. In my world, it's a little different, because there's an embarrassment. People like the anonymity, right? And so it makes sense that it would be a different experience in your practice area than mine, for sure.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I hadn't thought about that, because I don't practice in that area. People aren't going to want to go say, I need help. I've got a criminal problem and help me, because I never thought about that.
It's a matter of recognizing what sandbox you play in and what kind of playmates you're going to find in that sandbox.
Yeah, understood.
Your point is very well taken. And I appreciate you sharing your insights with me. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and get
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this episode of my LinkedIn Spotlight series. What surprised or impressed you most about Lauren's journey? Drop a comment below and let me know. If you found value in this conversation, please subscribe to stay updated on future episodes, where I'll be featuring more exceptional legal professionals and the lessons that shaped their careers. I'm Joel Chorney, and I'll see you in the next video.